Hey everyone, this is Hex Foodies going live right now. We are Hex Foodies on the Telegram group. We're also on YouTube and Facebook. Majority of our content comes from the Telegram group. Hex.com and pulsechain.com have their own Telegram groups. And so if you want any information about them, hop in there. Be wise about scams right now. I've been getting added in Telegram to so many different rooms that are scammy. And you can tell immediately because there's this announcement about a giveaway. And so they're just appealing to that side of your emotions. So watch out. If anybody's out there, please watch us on YouTube so that we can make sure that Togosh's hexstreamers.com catches us and forwards us to everybody. So I'm Davin. I'm in Texas. I go by EcoBuild. Rogue Herbalist is with me right now. He's up in Utah. I'm going to get him to talk about the Utah meetup here in a second. And then also, because that's the Hex US road trip that the Europeans are over here running around the country doing. Freaking awesome. They have their car wrapped. And then if you can look up their, let's see, here on the screen, I've got the Telegram open and oh, I guess they're not right there. Their thing is, it's called US Road Trip, and they've got the Hex logo with the 5555 inside of it. Join that. Look at the schedule and figure out when they're coming to the town closest to you. If you want to join the caravan, that's what I'm going to do. Once it's kind of like in my area, I'm going to travel with them. I've actually got a hex.com license plate now. It doesn't exactly say .com. It's a little something that looks similar to it, but a Texas plate that's pink. I'm liking it. I need to update my car in order to really do a hex flex. And then Finbear, he's stepped away from his computer right now in order to go freshen up, and he'll be right back. So take it over, Rogue, please.
Yeah, the Salt Lake City workshop was pretty good. That's the Crypto Spar Book, Patrick and Alan. So I guess Crypto Spar Book is Patrick's thing, and Alan is Albit Hex, I believe it is. It was pretty great to meet those two guys. I think the coordination of the road trip was with Freedom TV as well. So you got X-Ray Vision and T-Money. Those guys kind of helped coordinate X-Ray Vision. He'd be best to get on here and give a rundown of how that was. He coordinated the Salt Lake City meetup with that group. But it was supposedly the largest workshop on their tour, is what they're saying. So good job to all the Salt Lake City and Utah folks that turned out. And as you said here, a lot of shots here from behind from the presentation. So, but you can kind of see there, X-Ray Vision is in there, and then Patrick and Alan in that photo doing their presentation. I think some of the Utah folks later want to do their own meetup or workshop again later in a few months. So that might be pretty good. And then they did their workshop, and then they have their little documentary that Crypto Sparbook is kind of doing, because they have a pretty amazing story as far as how they came into Hex, how they learned about Richard Hart. Alan's story is pretty amazing as well. On this Telegram channel here, there's a little story from Evan. Evan had done a little interview afterwards and chatted with Alan briefly on his story. and it was pretty cool how he basically was living in a small room, was having struggles in his life, and then came across some of Richard Hart's videos and his help stuff, and it was pretty good. So overall, I think it was a pretty good thing for exposure there in Salt Lake City, and it seems like their tour's going pretty good. I enjoyed it. I think that this group would have a pretty cool meetup or workshop if we implemented some permaculture principles or foodies talk into some type of road tour. I think that would be pretty cool. But yeah, it was pretty good.
Awesome. I'm throwing out the link in Twitter right now. And come join. Come join. All right. Maybe I should have tagged that with it's.
How I did, speaking of this group, I did chat with Alan a little bit at the meetup afterwards. We went and ate some dinner and went to a pub and chatted with different folks and said, hey, there's this Hex Foodies group. And so you saw Alan joined it, and then Aaron joined it. We saw him, and then and Evan. And those are the two other guys were Utah guys, and then Alan. We were chatting about. I would ask, hey, do you know permaculture? He said, oh yeah, I've heard of that. Love that. And it's a sustainable agriculture. It's a design science, and we understand that there's some substance to what we want to do. So as we achieve the financial security side of things with Hex and Pulse, we then can move on to what's truly important, what brings purpose with that financial freedom. And so we chatted a little bit about that. And he joined the group. He went through some of the members in our Hex Foodies group and said, oh, I know this person, I know this person, and this person. So it was kind of cool. Finn Bear, I think he knew you. I don't know if you've met Alan or not, or Alan or Patrick, but they were excited to see you in the group as well.
I've not met them in person, but yeah, we've spoken like in every chat you can imagine. Really, nice. Really cool guys. I like their German sense of humor. It sort of fits in with mine. Sometimes it's a bit rough, but like once you get used to it, you know that you can't take all so seriously. But sometimes if you come up with a good one, you're gonna have to let it out, because if you don't, you're gonna end up with a lump on your neck or something.
Yeah. So the sense like of humor is kind of dry.
Yeah. That's like the best kind. I actually heard one really good one. It's not even one of those dirty jokes. Well, it is a bit, but okay, check this out. So I saw this guy in his car. He had a baby on board sticker in the, like a big one in the back, and two kids screaming in the back seat, and he was just backing up from his parking spot at the shop, and dinged some lady who was waiting for her turn. And I looked at the guy, and then I noticed the sticker, and I was like, man, some guys just, their pull-out game sucks.
Pull-out game.
It took a while, man.
My pull-out game's on better than par.
You're on point. Okay.
Davin doesn't have any kids, so he doesn't quite understand the.
Oh, you don't have any offspring? You should definitely
I don't
consider having a few. Have a few. They're awesome.
Believe me, I'm considering the woman right now.
Yeah.
And like the kids are gonna come no matter what.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yeah. The thing is, you need to have a good lady to have the children with.
Indeed.
And you also need to have a prenuptial agreement.
Get her own hex.
Like it's all fun and games, but if you have like tens of millions of dollars, you might create like circumstances where there's like where the sort of the benefits are a bit skewed to one side. So even like, yeah, but you know what I mean. It's good to be safe all around and like be smart about things. How did it go last week? You were so busy that you didn't even have time to look at the clock.
Oh
So
yeah, so
I suspect you did okay.
yeah, it was wonderful. So I met up with a friend on his time. So I go get some coffee in the morning. I was trying to figure out what I was going to do with my day, and then I get this text message where a friend of mine's in my downtown area, and I haven't spoken with him for probably a year. And we always like to talk about the Bible and world governance and things like that. So like, it almost feels like prior to Corona stuff, we hadn't talked since then. And so I gave him a message a while back, and I said, hey, I need to introduce you to what it is that I've gotten into that's really worked out for me. And it's around cryptocurrency, so prepare yourself. And he said, okay, so we met in my downtown area in front of a taco shop and in this front window, and we relaxed and everything. It was really nice. Caught up on stuff, and I shared with him about Hex, and he said that you're not the only one who's brought cryptocurrency to my attention and that I should look at it and everything. And I was like, well, there's a lot of stuff out there, and it's been an immature place prior to now. So what I'm a part of is bringing some maturity into the market. And I've written a 10-page PDF in order to introduce people to this thing. And so Richard just posted something about something premieres in 20 minutes, but I don't think that's him going live. Anyway, so I told my friend a good understanding. He asked really good questions, and I gave him really good, solid answers because I've really gotten in the flow of telling people the right amount of information when they ask just a little bit for that, instead of just giving them too much information and it just floods and flows, and they don't know what to do whenever they leave my presence, right? So yeah, my friend's taking that first step into looking into it, and then that's where I just lost track of time because things were so good, and it was reconnecting with an old friend. And then I come back here to my place, and I'm like an hour behind. I think like we would have ended the live stream right then, and I start doing sit-ups on my floor, and then I start thinking about my day, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I completely forgot, completely dropped the ball. And just apologies just flow in my head, and then I try to figure out like, okay, well, what can I do now in order to make it up and stuff, and it's just like, it's done. So that's that's how it ended up being. I apologize for wasting somebody else's time.
I completely understand. Like sometimes you get caught in the moment. Reggie, my man, how you doing?
How you doing? Everything great.
I missed you the last time. I wasn't gonna let that happen this time.
Oh, okay, for sure. It's all good.
Yeah.
Good to be here. Good to be here. What's the topic?
You haven't even told us yet.
Current events. Let's just go over current events because we've got so much that we've been doing.
Okay.
So far we've been talking about the U.S. road trip.
Mm-hmm.
The Europeans coming over here and showing us how to do meetups.
Oh yeah.
You got to go over there and do a tour. Go visit Finbear and go visit the Germans.
Yeah. Do like a retaliation hit. Come and tour.
Yeah.
It actually would work a lot better because like the saying goes, nobody's a prophet on their own land.
That's really interesting. Like
so
what?
you're a lot more credible if you go, even if you go to a neighboring city, you're already more credible than in your hometown. But imagine like going across the pond, and I love food too, Crispy.
Hey, Crispy. Speaking of food, y'all caught me in. I'm in the middle of eating a good salad right now.
That looks good.
Kale, spinach.
Hey, there you go. Good and healthy. Is that from your garden?
No, I don't have a garden. I just from the neighborhood Walmart.
Good deal.
Oh,
There you
cool.
go.
So when you said that, Finbear, my mind went to Asia. How like white people can go to Asia and be like could stand out amongst the geography.
I also would stand out physically.
Yeah.
Like,
How tall are you?
Yeah, I'm like 1 centimeter shy from 2 meters, so that's like 1.99 meters. So that's like 6'5", 6'6",
Oh, wow.
something like that. I don't know the king system, but fairly tall. But in Asia, I'm like a giant size. Large
In
portion.
Houston, when I worked with a bunch of Koreans, they all told me to go to Seoul and teach a little bit of English and just experience that culture and the living. And it would be really easy to get a girlfriend. And, you know, everybody would love to just look at you, you know, and if you had blonde hair, they'd look at you even harder.
Yeah, I would. Yeah. And if you go to places like Vietnam and you have a bit of a belly, they come up to you. Like, I remember watching a Bill Mollison video, like from way back when Bill Mollison is like the other guy who came up with permaculture, and he told about this time when he was in Vietnam. Like, I would suspect something like early 80s, mid 80s, something like that. And he was in a marketplace somewhere. He was like losing his hair up here, but it was still a bit longer. And then he had like a big belly. And he said that it was really strange that when he was at the marketplace, like just looking at food and stuff, and looking at all the wonderful things that they had over there to sell, and he could feel like ever so suddenly, like feel different hands coming from behind him and just rub his belly, like ever so, like so sort of politely, just a small tap, like he was pregnant, you know.
Yeah.
because and then he saw some of the, I think there were like Buddha statues which have a similar sort of physical demeanors. They like their Buddha from when he was old and chubby, not when he was in the caves, like starving himself. So rubbing the Buddha's belly is supposed to bring you good luck. So it was like, it's cool for a guy who has a bit of a beer belly, because they like they treat your belly extra kind. Tap it for good luck.
And that's interesting. I never knew that Buddha lived in the caves and actually starved himself.
Yeah,
Is that what you just said? I never knew that.
Yeah, there's like he did all kinds of stuff. It's
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a thin Buddha and a larger Buddha.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. And it I think traditionally Buddhas always had blue hair, which is interesting. Like coming from, like if you think about geographically where Buddha is like a big figure, nobody has blue hair, blue eyes. Did I say blue hair?
You said blue hair, and I started getting
That's
freaked
silly.
out.
Yeah, I meant blue eyes, not blue hair.
Oh, okay, blue eyes. Okay.
Blue hair is too much, but blue eyes I can live with. But all the old statues, they have like all the old Buddha statues have blue eyes.
Oh, okay. Nice.
So,
but yeah, listen, I just want to bring this up. Richard's stream is apparently from his live meetup that he's having in Copenhagen.
Okay.
Oh,
Maybe
so it's actually him.
might be worth a watch.
So what should we do? Should we quit in 15 minutes?
I don't know. I would be keen to see what he has to say. Hopefully it's not all unboxing. So hopefully there's some other content in there as well. But if we are not in there asking questions, who else is gonna ask the good questions?
So
Not the noobs.
All right, unboxing.
Yeah, he had an unboxing one last time. Does it look like this one is too?
How's he doing that again?
Well, he's got more goodies to show
Yeah.
off.
Yeah.
So
Let's go and check the goodies and if it's a short video, we can hop on, like we can jump back on. It's not like people organize their schedules around our stream, anyways. We always have the same 4 people watching the show, and most of the views come from like after the fact, anyways. So
Yeah.
we can. Yeah, I'm good to hop back on if it only lasts like half an hour or 45 minutes or something.
well, I'm good to just end our stream whenever it is that we decide officially to just leave. Hop on over to the other.
Yeah.
So let me real fast welcome the new members. Rogue talked a little bit about how they joined after a conversation.
Reggie, should you mute yourself, Reggie? I think it's your mic there's a bit of background noise.
Good call. And then there was this awesome video which Rogue already went over. And I loved how Abit talked about living in a basement and minimizing his bills in order to save up for Hex. And it kind of seems like he was living a lifestyle that I was used to. Let's see. And then Finbear, you posted this, which was like a sum up of permaculture. And I loved the way that, who was this? It was Mark Shepard. I love the way that he talked about the SAVANNAHS and the different
how productive
levels
they are.
Yes, to where like when you look at the rainforests, there's only a certain level where the sunlight, the photo,
the canopy, that's where all the sunlight is caught. So it's almost dead on the ground level, and only when a tree falls over or something, you get like a beam of light that hits the forest floor, so that something can grow there.
So if people can imagine a savanna situation would be where the sun is able to hit all the different layers, from your grasses up to your shrubs, up to your vines, up to your higher or lower canopy, and then your higher canopy. So there's a lot more diversity. And so he talked about stories of whenever this United States was being formed. I guess it was the late 1700s is whenever they sent people across the country to document
the Mason-Dixon line.
Yeah,
when they did the mapping thing,
the mapping
across
thing.
the country. Yeah.
And they
amazing stories, like absolutely unbelievable stories. Everybody should have a look at the video. So if you're worried about us being able to feed all the people on the planet, it's not a big deal. We could feed 1 billion more people easy.
He was saying that it was flourishing so much that that lions would be just relaxing, or tigers would just be relaxing in a place right next to the other wildlife and stuff, and the wildlife wasn't worried about it because there's so much abundance to eat.
Yeah.
Now I didn't get to listen to everything on this one. This was all audio, right? So no video on this one.
It would change its picture every once in a while.
Yeah, it had a few pictures in there. Yeah, so it's like he's going through his slides. So it changes the slides, but you don't see him like wave his hands around, or if he points at stuff, you sort of have to guess where he points. It's a few years old, so like technically it could be better, but but the content is awesome.
I'll have to listen to the rest of it in the background. On the canopy, I know Mark Shepard is into kind of the stewardship of the land as well. So does he mention the canopy, that if we as humans take care of it a little bit, prune it up a little bit, let some light into certain areas, are we able to then create more production, more abundance with that? Did he chat about that with some of the canopy?
Yeah, the idea is that you bring in enough biology to sustain everything without any external inputs. So, like, say you have the farm and you plant a row of apple trees, so that you can go like between the rows, you can go with a tractor, like go to the other side, turn around, and go to the other side again, and then you have another canopy of apple trees, and you space your stuff out in a way that you can sort of farm in between the other sort of enterprises that you have there. And even though you only get like 20% of the apples that an apple orchard would, you get all the 20% of the apples for absolutely for free. So it's basically it's just money into your pocket. I was just looking at another video by Mr. Shepard. It was only 2 years old, and man, he was so on point. He talks about like the finances and how he set up all his enterprises. And even though he's involved in millions of dollars of enterprises and basically owns a lot of land and stuff, out of I believe out of from the last 8 years, all but 2 years he's been under the federal poverty line. And those 2 years when he broke above it was sort of a mistake, and he shouldn't have even done it. But he's doing it in a smart way, like pretty much like, for instance, like he uses Trump as an example. But everybody who has money, who wants to keep it, is working in a similar fashion. So that's I'm going to share it with you guys in the chat. And like I would imagine, if anybody gets a hold of Mark, that something like Hex, now with the lending platform that we're getting and all those things, this is going to be like an amazing tool for anybody within the sort of the whole like the agricultural sphere, because you can rid yourself from all the like I was thinking, like, for instance, over here every farmer has to sort of pay out of his own bag. It takes like 3 farmers to subsidize one inspector. And what the inspector does is, if he goes from a farm to another farm and just makes everybody's life miserable, because he inspects that you're doing everything you're supposed to be doing in order for you to get your subsidies. Well, what if you don't need subsidies? If you have an income source that's like a steady income source that produces you a yield every year, so that you don't have to suck on the government's teeth, and you can produce what you want in a style that you want, and if the inspector doesn't like it, he can just shove off, because you're not after his money, and you're not dependent on your local government.
There was some discussion. Somebody had posted something in Hex Foodies on leasing out the land, and if you're leasing the land to somebody who's growing their crop or their product, then they have a tax advantage, or the inspectors, when they come onto your land, they can't inspect your land or do anything there, because you're leasing the land for your product. So you have to. It's kind of throwing the inspectors and the government in for a loop. Jack Spirko talks about that. He interviewed someone on that program, and we were kind of chatting about bringing Jack Spirko on and some of these bigger named permaculture folks. I bet Mark Shepard would be good. We got Paul Wheaton would be good to kind of onboard into Hex and bring it into that. But a lot of them, I think they understand that the factor of what to do with the land as far as once you have it, in order to avoid a lot of this problem of government control and oversight
And
into it.
before we jump off the stream, I wanted to take the opportunity to give a big shout out to CryptoCoffee for hooking our boy up with the coupon so that he can send it to Jack. It was awesome. CryptoCoffee is the man.
Okay, so what he's
Thanks,
talking
mate.
about is how we've got one of our members personally emailing Jack Spirko. Jack Spirko's in Texas, right?
Yeah.
I believe so.
Yeah,
and
that's right.
Yeah.
And so Jack Spirko says, like, hey, tell me a little bit more about Hex and where to get it. I don't understand it. And so one of our members is ironing out an email in order to get Jack down the road of understanding what Hex is. And the only thing I'm worried about is giving them too much information or like too much jargon up front about crypto, too much crypto jargon.
Yeah, it's not like you don't have to feed the entire elephant to the poor guy at once. Just give him a taste. Do you like the elephant? Okay, here we go. This is where we get more of the elephant. It's not like you don't have to put like 1.5 tons of elephant meat on the table and go like, let's chow down.
Although
I agree with you
Jack
there.
does have a lot of, he has a lot of good background on crypto. His thing was
Yeah, he does.
pirate chain, the XRPs.
I don't probably think. I don't think we should probably share all the communications that sort of on YouTube that we're sending between people. Just like yeah.
Yeah, I thought about that. I apologize.
Some OPSEC.
But
operations.
something that is interesting is like, what if we're able to get to one of the regenerative farmers, and then that opens up to so many more regenerative farmers.
Yeah.
And also we are only going after figureheads, because I mean, like Hex Farmer in this group, in the Hex community, is a farmer. He's just keeping more quiet. Like we do have the attention of farmers.
Yeah. I want to talk to everybody who's in farming. Like I'm planning on going on a sort of a road trip just to meet. Like I don't know that many farmers. I know a few, and I know like insurance guys who specialized in farm insurance because of my previous occupation. So they can probably hook me up with all kinds of people. But yeah, there's a lot of farmers here with their heads underwater who are desperately looking for a way out, because they're doing all the hours they possibly can, and still they're getting butchered out there. So I want to see if there's ways that we could work around it and sort of get them building on a source of wealth for themselves.
So something that I thought about earlier today on this subject was like, what if we made our own commercials? Like our Hex Foodies did sort of a YouTube commercial, a really quick introduction, like what is Hex and how can you use it towards your farm? And we are these people who can speak this farm jargon.
That's a good idea.
Like pass them the baton to then have that burning knowledge of, okay, you can go forward from here. Just that baby step.
Idea.
Something I wanted to mention about this video is how Mark Shepard talked about the cypresses of Lebanon, right? Where I think it's the cypresses, right? Is that the redwoods of Lebanon? Okay,
yeah,
so
the huge. Lebanon had a massive cypress forest, and
they had a larger one
only
back
on one
in the day.
Yeah,
and
but there's only
supposedly
like one hillside or something.
Yeah, he shows a picture of that hillside, and he explains that these trees were actually had expanded all around the Mediterranean. And he points to Egypt and he points to the pyramids and he says, when these people built this city here, this great civilization here, it was luscious forest back then. It was complete food needs, all within range of the human being, and this is what happened because of bad agriculture. I thought that was really interesting, and often you don't hear about that. Often, like whenever you're in grade school and public school, they'll show you some video, a cartoon about them constructing the pyramids while everything's sand dunes.
Yeah. Why would you build something like that in sand?
Technology that we don't understand.
Yeah, but
Cypress of Lebanon.
Like, yeah, I don't even, regardless of the reason why they were built, but why build it in sand? It makes so much more sense that it was an area where you could live fairly easy off the land. And even if you think about like the Romans of the antiquity, their bread basket was Lebanon and Morocco. That's where they got their wheat from the other side of the sea. And that's not very arable land now.
Interesting.
But things change. It's moving back. But yeah, sun has quite a bit to do with it, and the solar cycles. It's a very interesting topic. I've been talking with Bluebum about it for a bit, and it goes into areas where there's a lot of stuff that people misunderstand, and there's a lot of misinformation, either on purpose or just due to not understanding how the thing functions. But yeah, during the past 2,000 years, where you could have sort of survived farming has drastically changed. Like Vikings could farm in Iceland. They grew barley and stuff in Iceland. Not anymore, but like 1,000 years ago, because it was a lot warmer. And once it got colder, that was sort of the closing bell for the Vikings, and combined with the uprising of or the coming of Christianity and stuff. So that sort of completely ruined their worldview.
Thanks for that knowledge.
Oh, I have a few tidbits we could go into, but it might be a bit boring for like the rest of the audience.
I think some of that esoteric knowledge is pretty interesting. I was just going to point out that the Cypress of Lebanon is a biblical reference, and Isaiah would talk a lot about a warning issued to that location, because when Babylon or the Persians would take over a country, especially in that area of Lebanon, their thing would be to destroy and cut down their big cypress trees as a sign that they've conquered them. And so any kind of conquering force that would come in would definitely take out those resources. Cypress of Lebanon is the biblical reference because of how big those trees were. So when you look at why was Egypt,
I did not know that.
Things taken out. Yeah, so that's a pretty interesting reference as far as that goes in that part of the world.
That's very interesting. Hey, I'm a bit anxious to see what Richard has to say. So
cool.
What do you
you go
think
over there. Keep an eye on that, and we'll just finish up because it's we've got 21 minutes, so like 15 minutes, and then we'll say goodbye. How about that?
All right. Yeah, and if it's something really interesting, I'll hop back into the private chat, and maybe we can.
Or just hop back on this stream.
Yeah.
Just go and come back maybe. And so because you're very active in the chats, so good for you.
I'm all over, man.
All
over the place.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. I'll go and represent, and I'll see you guys next week.
Okay. Cool.
Okay.
Great. Bye.
Pleasure being with you. Later.
Oops.
So the reason why, well, on topic, we were talking about trees, and so I headed out to a little bit West Texas, out west of San Antonio, this weekend, and it's a little bit flat out there, but there is some farmland out west of San Antonio, south of where these springs create a bunch of creeks and rivers with that crisp, cool water that's really clear. It's a really nice area of Texas. And so every time I'd come across a tree, like, or a grove, I would wonder, you know, how was that made, and how long ago was it that somebody planned on doing that sort of thing? And then I kind of wonder, like, some of these little lost forests, were they actually created by human beings a long time ago, planting these things in an area where they sort of knew that it could grow, and then they just multiply, and then we're sitting there looking at it 200 years later? Or is it that wildlife actually brought it? Or did the plant actually propagate itself all the way upstream? I don't know, but I thought that was kind of on topic. And so that town that I was showing you the picture of, this is Uvalde, Texas, out west of San Antonio. And I was headed to Fort Clark Springs, that's further west, over in Brackettville. Brackettville is so close to Del Rio, a border town, that there were tons of state troopers out there because of human trafficking and things like that. I'm not really sure what the politics are right now, but it looks as though the state is taking a huge effort in something that the United States should be heavily involved in as well. And it comes with not without its, you know, costs. I shredded a tire, and then this other one got a puncture in it, and I'm dealing with that right now. And I also witnessed a wedding that was of a couple who is taking over a family ranch down in Columbus, Texas, which is between Houston and San Antonio. And this is Jen and this is Josiah. And 2 years ago, they met at a Paul Wheaton permaculture course. And they stayed around after the course, knowing that they could do things on Paul Wheaton's property there at Wheaton Labs in Montana. And they started dating and eventually got engaged. And so once they hit a 2-year mark there at Wheaton Labs, they decided, we're going to come down to the family ranch and get married underneath an oak tree. And so that was really spectacular to see. You know, another group of like-minded people finding each other in today's world, and start having new beginnings. I thought that was just wonderful. And whenever my girlfriend and I stayed in the area, we looked up the Airbnb that would allow us to just stay one night. By the way, folks, whenever you're looking at Airbnbs, see if there's a night stay minimum, because a lot of them are 2-night stay minimums. So you look at the price and you have to double it, and then plus the cleaning fees and things like that. It's really cumbersome, I guess, but often it's better than a hotel. We stayed in a hotel whenever we were in Uvalde, and we're surprised by the price, but whatever. Hex has it all covered. So I stayed at this Airbnb, and whenever we went there, we were greeted by the hosts, who have their house just right next door to the shack that we're staying in. And so we got to talk to them just a little bit and saw a map of the property. And I saw that he had about 60 acres. And I asked him, is that oil well over there going to you? Is that a part of the property of yours? And he was like, no, sorry, actually, I don't have mineral rights. And it got me to think, like, whenever it is that you buy property and you don't get the mineral rights, then what is the true price of property these days? You know what I mean? I think that's about all I have on my rant for right now. You guys? No? Okay. So I'll keep going.
Nah,
So
I was only gonna say,
yeah.
I mean, I don't know too much about farming. The whole reason I joined the group is, just educate myself from you guys. And I thought it was cool how the idea y'all brought up earlier, how Hex can free up farmers to where they don't have to be under the pressure of the inspector or whatnot. They can have freedom to do what they want to do. I never really thought about farmers in that aspect of, being restricted on how they grow stuff or whatnot, as far as inspectors and stuff or whatnot. But Hex being able to be that opportunity for farmers to have that freedom to just grow and do what they want. I thought that was a cool, interesting point that y'all had brought up earlier.
Yeah, so farmers they spend a lot of time on things that that don't matter. They make sure that systems are set up so that they're profitable, and their profit margin relies on everything around them. And so when they're doing destructive things to their property in order to make ends meet for today, then tomorrow, what's the new scenario? And that's what Mark Shepard was pointing out in that video that was posted above.
Okay.
To where, like, a lot of our modern ag encourages us to destroy the property, to be forceful, to make sure that something dies and make sure that something stays alive. And that was like a quote from him.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think a lot of dependencies come from the various institutions. So the reason Hex solves the ag problem is because it solves the big financial problem. So you have big bank, big money, and we become our own bank, and we can be dependent of that. The next one is big farms, big pharma and big agriculture work together to control and in order to make us dependent on them. The other one is education. And you can go down a list of the things that we are dependent upon, that as we solve one area, which is financial, the other areas become a little bit easier to solve. So education, we're free to educate our own children because we have the resources to do that. We're not dependent on government schools. When we have the financial and the education freedom, and we take ownership of that, then we are able to move into things like farming and our own medicines, using the land and using our resources to create our own sustainability, rather than being dependent on the big players.
And if they want to punish you, what are they going to do? They're going to punish your pocketbook, until you have to give up your assets. So that's their avenue into our lives. That's how, I guess, any government gets into your personal life. And we're hitting the head on the nail, or the nail on the head, with Hex.
And in some ways it can become subversive, and so it could be dangerous, because then we become a target. Sorry, Reggie, were you going to say something? I don't want to interrupt.
No. I'm just listening, soaking it in. Yeah.
So if let's see, if anybody's in Austin, I think this is Cafe Suda. I forget the exact name. This is what Hex Farmer encouraged me to to go and be a part of and witness and eat. I'm going to start going here a lot more. You walk in the door and you pay by the head. So it was me and my girlfriend, 2 people, about $14 each meal. And so then you walk in, you decide what tea you might want, and then grab a tray, and the chefs will dish you up a plate and a bowl of soup, and these food on the plate is still alive. And I feel like I'm still vibrating from eating this food 3 days ago. Absolute awesome meal. If anybody has these sort of like down to earth, eat locally, eat seasonally type places, check them out, be a patron of them. Most likely you'll sit down and you'll hear conversations from other tables about people who are bettering their lives. You know, not talking about, oh, this negativity here or there in their life. Instead, they're talking about what they want to do and how this person that they're eating across the table from can help them get to where they want to be. It's a great experience. It's a great instance of community.
So while you're chatting about food,
Yeah.
I'll do my little show and tell for a book.
Oh, cool.
I think it's really nice to think about what you're saying is eating locally and then seasonally. And this book, I barely started it, but I kind of read some of the summary of it. He talks about there's 3 or 4 reasons why we eat food, and it's 1 for fun, 2 for nourishment, and 3 for being social. So we want to eat around people. It doesn't necessarily mean we're going to eat nutritious food. The other one is to get the nutrition out of the food, which is the main reason of eating. And then this talks a lot about kind of our ancestors and their dilemma of food. They didn't really have a dilemma because they just wanted to eat and they needed to eat. So they didn't say, well, how many carbs does this have, or what, where did this meat come from? They went out and they hunted, and it was natural, right? Because our ancestors went out and did that. So it's a pretty good book as far as food goes. I'm diving into it, but there's my show and tell for a book.
I don't think I've read that book, but I gave it to a friend for a wedding present one year, like 10 years ago.
Nice.
I'm gonna post that. Let's see. I'm gonna post a book summary into the Telegram chat, and if you want to add a better link, please do.
Yeah, that looks good. Michael Pollan was interviewed on Joe Rogan. He's all over the place, so you can always check him out.
Cool. Whenever I was flipping through Google, I don't know why, they have these news articles that they want to show you.
Right.
And I saw this one that was this study about mice where they were getting them to fast, and somehow I didn't read the article. I'm not even going to click on this, but I just liked seeing them talk about fasting, because I do think that people could learn more about themselves, get more in tune with their body, and then possibly autocorrect a situation with simple fasting. If you just took 3 days to deal with fasting, I think that people could gain quite a bit.
Yeah, most definitely, man. I read this book by Arnold Ehret. I don't know if you heard of him. It's like from the 1920s. He got a book called Rational Fasting. And early on in the book, he makes the point that fasting is the ultimate healer of the body. And he talks about throughout the book how he went on his fast and how like a whole lot of amazing stuff just started to happen into his body. Like his skin complexion got darker. He would cut himself and no blood would come out, and he would heal like that. And it was just amazing. And then he was just talking about different case studies that he had with other patients and how they just healed with just fasting alone. And in reference to fasting, I mean, it doesn't just mean you don't eat at all, but it just pretty much means that I mean, in some cases it may mean that, but for the most part, you just eat less, probably like maybe one time a day. And then the next, like right now I'm doing a fast, like I'm eating from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m. and that's it. And then the next day I'm repeating that. And so fasting don't necessarily mean not eating, but fasting, man, it's crazy. Like I fasted for like a month and a half, like maybe 2 years ago. I went from like 185 to like 155 pounds. I was losing weight so fast, I scared myself and I had to stop. And yeah, it was crazy.
How did the outline of your muscle definition and
Man,
your attention to body like organs or muscles?
yeah. I noticed when me fasting, I regained my 6-pack, and that's without no working out. My 6-pack had came back. It just started showing up out of nowhere.
Just boom.
And yeah, and I wasn't working out or doing anything. I was just going to home and work, and that was it. And fasting, and it was crazy. Fasting is really amazing. And as far as my attention span, I don't really know no difference. I'm still crazy as always. But but I know the physical, like my body healed from a lot of illnesses that I had. Like I used to break out in hives every winter.
Okay.
And ever since I did that month and a half fast, like I haven't broken out in hives since then. And I used to wake up with a bunch of mucus in my eye. That went away. Everything, like my whole body was just transformed. And so ever since then, I fell off. So that's why right now I'm trying to get back on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So would you do me the favor in posting something about that book in the Telegram chat?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I'll find a PDF. They got it online. And
right.
Yeah, I most definitely post that.
Sounds awesome. So let's wrap it up, guys.
Let's do it. Let's go watch Richard.
All right, let's watch Richard. Thanks for coming out this week, and I apologize for messing up last week. Thanks for being on call. What you got, Rogue?
Hey, we'll go see what Richard's unboxing, right? He's gifted us this Hex and Wealth, and we'll be able to unbox our own stuff as we find what we think is wealthy and what we find riches in.
Most definitely.
Everybody in Telegram, don't fall for the scams. We're experiencing a dip right now. Remember to zoom out when you're looking at the chart because it looks real good when you zoom out.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is just a dip, and we're going forward. Let's
Hex is on sale right now.
Yeah, Hex is on sale.
That's it. It's just on sale.
Good luck,
50%
everyone.
off.
50% off. Good luck, everyone, on the next week. Till then, we'll see you next time.
Peace.
Later.